Hi scrollers! This video is for you if you ever wondered about breathwork. There are different types. I'm talking about conscious connected breathwork, also known as psychedelic breathwork or circular breathing. I hear a lot of scary stories. I'd like to share some of them today, but the main focus is about frequent asked questions. So if you're on the edge, here are your answers. My name is Melinda. I'm a dedicated pranayama and breathwork teacher with 3 formal trainings in respiratory techniques. Basically, I assist people in their transformative journeys, and I do this in one-on-one sessions, in group sessions, online, offline. If you like to participate in a session, click the links below. It would be my honor to guide you. And now enough about me. Let's focus on your questions. So the other day, one of my pranayama students approached me and shared a pretty scary story with me about her first psychedelic breathwork experience. A colleague of hers invited her after work to join this type of event, and so she said yes, not knowing what it was actually about. She just had breathwork in her head, associating it with pranayama, which she knows from me, right? So that's her association with breathwork. And pranayama is very different. So that's one of the first questions I'd like to answer. What are the different types of breathwork? I made a video over here to explain some of the most popular ones, but obviously there's a lot to cover. There are timestamps below. You can jump right to your question and the answer that concerns you in particular. If by any chance I'm not answering them, put your question in the comment section so that I can reply. Believe me, your question is valid, is important, and a lot of other people may have the same concerns or confusion or just curiosity. So don't hesitate to participate in this video. The difference between pranayama and conscious connected breathwork or psychedelic breathwork is that pranayama comes from the yogic tradition, and there are various exercises, but most of them focus on nostril breathing. Of course, there are some exceptions, but most of them do. And the goal is clearing your energy system, meaning we're energetic beings, right? So the first goal is to just clear your auric field, clear your different bodies, be it the emotional body, the mental body, your physical body, and obviously your spiritual body. So it helps you connect to yourself, the subtle energy flow, and to get deeper within your spiritual practice. And it has, of course, a variety of benefits. This is something you practice ideally on the daily, but it has a very different purpose, I would say, than psychedelic breathwork. Psychedelic breathwork can be done on a regular basis, and if you're in a retreat or something, maybe it's several days a row, but actually it has another focus. Psychedelic breathwork opens in a very short amount of time different levels of consciousness where you can access hidden memories, suppressed emotions, get awareness. It's a modality that focuses on emotional release, and that's why it is so powerful. People use it on a healing journey, maybe to gain awareness on some problems in their lives. So the reason, but also the result that you have from psychedelic breathwork is different. The point I'm trying to make, she wasn't prepared. She went to the psychedelic breathwork event not knowing the impact it might have, not knowing about the risks, not knowing what she went into. So our conversation basically went like this. She said, my whole body cramped up. It was super scary, and I will never go there again. Do you know what that actually was? What happened? I never experienced anything like this. So I asked her, did you breathe through the mouth? Yes. Did you breathe for 45, 60 minutes? Yes. So you went to a psychedelic breathwork event. The cramping is a second question a lot of people ask about or are even scared about. And I will go in depth as to why cramping happens. But before I do, I would highly recommend to all the teachers out there and instructors out there to prep the people you are guiding through this experience in a clear way. Talk about the risks, talk about the benefits, talk about the process, so that those people can give an informed consent, because psychedelic breathwork is extremely powerful and you don't want to play around with it. It should be practiced with purpose. Really, before the breathwork session, there's some things to consider. Don't do drugs, don't drink alcohol, don't eat a substantial heavy meal 90 minutes before the breathwork session. And if you have psychological or physical issues, then make sure with a physician, a doctor who can validate as a professional if breathwork is a good idea for you. Yeah, because it's heavy breathing. It might be a bit challenging for your body. Like if you have a pacemaker, if you have high blood pressure, if you have glaucoma, epilepsy, even if you're pregnant, if you have diabetes, respiratory issues, like there's a list of, let's call them medical conditions, that you should just watch out for and make sure that psychedelic breathwork is a good idea for you. So yes, there are contraindications. There are also questions like, I don't know if I can do it. Oh my God, I'm scared. What happens if I lose control? It comes from a place of fear of the unknown, which is probably good because it's a protective instinct, right? So let me answer some of those questions. It needs to feel right. If you approach this with fear, get clear on your fear first and what's underneath that fear. Usually fear is layered, right? So let's say, I don't know if I can do it. You probably can do it. The question is, do you want to do it? It's an unusual breathing pattern. I focus on conscious connected breathwork, so let me talk about this. You inhale and exhale only through the mouth, which is not natural. Usually we should breathe through the nose for various reasons. But this time we break that natural pattern and we breathe through the mouth. The intensity of that inhale and exhale is up to you, but there's a technique to it, which I teach in my breathwork ceremonies, of course. Basically, you breathe into the belly and then pull the breath up into the chest and you release. So it's like a wave, right? You have a circular pattern. Inhale, exhale, all goes through the mouth. If you need more details, check out this video. Since we're not used to breathe like that, of course you can ask yourself, am I capable of breathing like that for such a long period of time? And in this video, I explain to you, yes, because there is effort required at the beginning. So me as the facilitator, the animator, makes sure that you get into this breathing rhythm and that you push a little bit through your resistance and your barrier, right? But then all of a sudden a switch happens and you get out of this yang phase, a bit more powerful breathing phase, into a yin phase where all of a sudden you're passive and it starts to breathe you, right? Most of the time what happens is that people after an hour of breath work come out of this wondering what happened. It didn't feel like an hour because you breathe yourself into a trance state. So you lose your sense of time. By the way, like the video if you learned something valuable already and if you'd like to support my work, thanks. So to answer the question, I don't know if I can do it, you probably can. However, what happens sometimes is that people need a little bit of training to get into the technique. And it can be that you need a second or third session to really master that breathing pattern. It's not difficult, but for people who have shallow breathing, who are sitting hunched over a computer all day long or always stay just in their cell phone looking down and having shoulders like that, well, obviously your lung capacity is restricted and now you're invited to open up and to fill the lungs and to really flood your whole system with air. That's the challenge, right? So your nervous system, your body, all of those things need to be adjusted. And sometimes it needs a little bit of practice, which is why I tell you, hey, come to 3, 4, 5 sessions to make sure to really get the most out of your experience. All right. Others ask me, what if I lose control? I'm scared. Yeah, but scared of what? What happens if you lose control? I mean, that's a part I never really understood because I'm into, well, all of these practices where you actually go beyond the thinking mind. But it's valid feedback I got from my people, from my students. A lot of them ask this, like, what if I lose control? Well, we don't know what happens if you lose control, but what I saw in my classes and what I experienced myself are these things. And now we enter into the second phase of this video, what happens during breathwork. You can lose control, you will lose control in different ways. And let me tell you, losing control in this context is good. You want to be able to release stuck energy, all right? You want to release something, you want to access something. So you need to open up. And in a way you didn't previously probably, because the borders within your system were controlled by your thinking mind. It's a protection mechanism, psychological protection mechanism, etc. It can be scary to experience the void, what I call the void. But it's so potent. It's like the most fruitful thing happens in the void. Let's say on a physical level, when you lose control, you might cramp up. This is what happens, remember, to my students that I talked to you at the beginning of this video. So you can have like lobster hands or crab hands, like the fingers come together and they make like weird movements. Sometimes there are other parts in your body that might feel numb. My feet felt numb. Even genitalia felt somehow numb. Like they're different experiences. It has a physiological reason. So what is actually happening? Because you're flooding your body with more oxygen and you're exhaling more carbon dioxide, there's a change in the acid-base balance, meaning for this period of your practice, your blood might become more alkaline. And therefore, you can experience those claw hands, uncontrolled muscle spasms, or just cramps. It can happen. But a trained facilitator will decide in that moment how to help you and if it's necessary to intervene. Because if I intervene with my techniques, then obviously I get you out of the practice, out of your experience. Sometimes it's a good thing, because if it becomes too painful, it might leave a result like with my pranayama student. It got her slightly traumatized. She never wants to experience anything like that again. And so a great opportunity, a great tool is lost for her because of that experience. So now it's up to her to see if she'd like to try it again, maybe with me as the teacher, or if she just, takes her distance from that type of self-care. Anyways, so cramps, muscle spasms, stamping or boxing or whatever happens on the mat is uncontrollable because you need to release, your body needs to release some suppressed energy. And this is a way through body movement to do it. So yes, you will lose control in that moment, but it's not as if you're not conscious about it. You choose to do that, something you would never allow yourself to do in a normal waking state. But at that moment, it feels very liberating and necessary. So you will do it. Another way to release is through the voice. Okay, I train my people to do vocal toning, to how to use the voice, to learn what they're not able to express yet or don't want to express in words. But with vocal toning, with chanting, with being trained how to use the voice through just noise making, all of a sudden the whole room expresses themselves. This can be through mourning, through chanting, through actual screaming. And it's totally fine if you do it. That's a safe space to express that way. Now, what can also happen when people are afraid of losing control is that, and that's a longer story, I might dive into another video, but holding the energy of rest can be scary because you confront yourself, with your own feelings. You're not distracted. So you face your own emotions. And usually we tend to do everything but facing our emotions. We numb, meaning we distract, we avoid, or we suppress. And we can release the pent up energy by, let's say, sports, maybe sex, or maybe whatever. But actually processing emotions and feeling emotions, most of us are a bit scared of that. And that's the actual fear of losing control, is to face an emotional state you're trying to avoid maybe for decades. But that's also the healing part that most people report about during their breathwork sessions. Yeah, I got to face that and actually wasn't that scary. Or, oh my God, it was so scary, but I'm happy I went through it because now I see what's available afterwards. A new door opened. Whatever you experience during the session should be processed over a certain period of time and then applied to your life. The insight you got through this, don't just put them away as, oh, that was a nice experience, on to the next extraordinary experience. No, you want to actually do the work. It's called breath work for a reason. Breath work is just a tool. The work is what you do with the insights you get thanks to that tool. So as a facilitator, I provide integration coaching if needed. And if you're really serious about your breathwork journey, you're probably not just doing one session. You wouldn't just go to one yoga session and expect spectacular results. You yield different results over a period of time. So from the get-go, I would suggest everybody, hey, do 3-5 sessions over a period of 3 to 6 months and really work on yourself. Give yourself a chance to significantly transform in your life. By the way, like the video if you learned something valuable already, and if you'd like to support my work, thanks. Every Conscious Connected Breathwork experience is very different. Come with no expectation, with an open mind, and be ready to be surprised. You may experience stillness as you become aware of the present moment. Maybe it's the first time you experience true stillness. You might feel anger and sadness as you connect to suppressed emotions. You may feel relief since you released stuck energy, blocked energy, and you might experience a deep understanding as you access stored memories, maybe from your childhood, your young adult life, maybe from a previous relationship you were in, just new aha moments, connecting the dots in a new way. You might feel happy, you might feel joyful, blissful, lighthearted, or you might just feel confused. All of these states are valid, important, beautiful. Let's move into phase 3, what to do after a Conscious Connected Breathwork session. Well, take it easy. Directly after session, you don't want to go party, you don't want to go into challenging environments. Just really be self-compassionate, ride the self-care wave to its end, meaning take time for yourself, honor your work, honor your silence, honor yourself. Just basically, I would say, go home and rest. So you might want to hydrate with water. You might want to avoid heavy foods, especially processed foods. Allow yourself some time to reflect about what happened, how you feel, journal. Take voice messages, however your way of processing might look like. If you're completely lost, disturbed, or feel the need to share, there are different ways. In every ceremony I host, there's a little moment at the end to share your experience. But sometimes people don't want to make it public, so you can always reach out and share, right? I'm available to help you in your integration phase. be it just to a little exchange or an actual coaching container afterwards. I could talk forever about conscious connected breathwork. Let's conclude with this. Trust that whatever needed to happen just happened. And you can ease into a practice, and it's okay if the first time didn't do anything. The first time for me was like, interesting. Okay, yeah, I feel relaxed and calm, but that's about it. The second time was a bit more emotional. I was somehow confronted with my inner child, and I was so happy to meet her, like me, the little me, and to now officially take responsibility of her, like in a conscious way, and like befriend my younger self. That was so healing that I cried out of melancholy, but also joy. Like it was a roller coaster ride, and I loved it. And the third time and the fourth time, every time there's something different. Sometimes it's just a physiological experience. Sometimes you're in the clouds. Sometimes it's highly emotional. And every time is just perfect the way it is. I'd invite you to stay open to find your type of psychedelic breathwork. For me, it's conscious connected breathing, which is why I teach it. And if you would like to participate in a session, I hold space for you guys in Zurich and on retreats. You find all the information below. Usually we meet twice a month. And register. We have small gatherings. I hold them intentionally small, so we really have a more private experience, but who knows what happens in the future. All right, so I thank you so much for watching. Now remember, if you have a question that I did not answer, no worries, just put them in the comments or read the blog post that I linked below, and that is guiding you to my website, melindaconge.com, melindayoga.com. You can use them interchangeably. Take care, one breath at a time.